Wait, when did they make a sequel to Big Chungus 3? Hey everyone, it's PB at Kotaku. The gaming world, in particular AAA gaming, has been really popping off lately, and in more ways than one. Within 4 days of release, Black Myth Wukong sold 10 million units, it hit a peak of 2 million concurrent players on Steam, and it helped the platform get to an all-time high of 37 million concurrent users. All of that is simply incredible. That ain't the only game that's killing it. Sony has this massive game that they've developed for 8 years, cost an alleged $100 million to make, and it truly, and I mean truly, pushed Steam to that previously mentioned all-time high. And that game is John C. I'm kidding. If you're keeping up with gaming news, I think you know where this is going. Yes, good old Concord. But can I really call it that when it's not good and it's a brand new release? Also, for a brand new release, it doesn't bode well when your player base numbers look like this. Seriously, Concord is absolutely killing it right now. And by killing it, I mean their bottom line. And how bad is their bottom line being killed? Well... honestly, with those kind of player numbers on Steam, and even likely lower numbers on PSN, I really think those pathetically low sales figures are still being fluffed up. But let's assume 25,000 units sold is true. At $40 a piece, the game has only made $1 million in sales against a development budget of at least $100 million. Some are even alleging that Sony is going to lose as much as $200 million on Concord. Given that marketing budgets are separate from production budgets, much like with movies, I could believe those numbers. The sheer amount of failure on display here is biblical. Concord is quite possibly the worst video game flop in the world. I don't even really need to talk about the identity politics or the inorganic usage of DEI, which this game lives, breathes, and will die on. So many other people have talked about that, and if you want to hear the more political side of things, check them out. One of the key factors to Concord's failure, and the only one I'm going to discuss, is its character designs. Character design is really important. Gamers want to play as characters that look cool, look like they could kick ass, and there's also bonus points for the characters looking attractive. Even just looking at the quintessential hero shooter Overwatch, we have banger after banger after banger after banger. When it comes to Concord, it's just burger after burger after burger after burger. Gamers want to play as characters that look like heroes. They don't feel like playing as a character who resembles someone they'd see in line next to them at Ross Dress for Less. Seriously, these are easily some of, if not, the worst character designs I have ever seen. Like, what the hell is this character? This giant tub-shaped yellow robot? It's like the character designer saw a picture of a yellow hazmat salvage drum and thought, hell yeah brother, that's gonna put my kids through college. Oh no, certainly not this. Good god, what hero wears their pants more than halfway up their gut? The only saving grace about this character, Daw, is that he resembles Ned Leeds from the MCU Spider-Man movies, and that guy's awesome. But even then, that's not enough to make Daw look cool. And what in the blue hell is this? Depending on your lingo, it could be bootleg Doom Guy, great value Doom Guy, wish.com Doom Guy at home, or Temu Doom Guy. Take your pick. It's all the same terrible design. This just looks so weird. This character's default colors make her look almost naked. You know what that reminds me of? Those god-awful skin-colored pants worn by the Iowa State Cyclones. Good lord, what were they thinking? Absolutely none of the characters in Concord are appealing, and anyone who says otherwise I think is just coping or lying to themselves. Like, Daw? Really? Get the f*** out of here. If I had to give the character designs a rating, well, to quote certain Mr. Brian Alvarez, I give them
-5 stars!
Just to drive home how poorly Concord is being received, it is doing worse than one of the most recent video game flops, the Gollum game. Concord is doing worse than the Gollum game. The freaking Gollum game. Let that sink in. Now, I really want to stress how bad character design or even a poor roster can severely shorten a video game's lifespan. Even if the game plays well, if the roster and the characters themselves are unappealing, the game will die a swift death. Main example, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. For the most part, this game is actually quite solid. The gameplay is smooth, fast-paced, and it just feels really nice. It's what you'd expect from a versus fighting game. I know MacLeod Dude, a well-known fighting game community content creator, really liked the game a lot too. However, as I said before, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite had a fatal flaw: its character roster. In particular, the Marvel side. If you take a good look, you'll notice something. There is not a single X-Man or non-MCU character on the Marvel side. Not even a single mutant. It's like Capcom called up Scarlet Witch and had her say, "No more mutants." This game was made before Disney bought X-Men and the Fantastic Four back from Fox, so maybe there was licensing issues. Most people who were critical of the Marvel roster simply thought the game was being used as an advertisement for the MCU. When Capcom was criticized for the lackluster roster, we got the infamous "characters are a function" response. If you want to know more about that, search Marvel vs. Capcom character function. My boy Wolverine has been in every single Capcom fighter featuring Marvel characters until Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. Logan is a Marvel fighter staple, and not having him is a totally brain-dead move. Back to Concord real quick. Another criticism of the game is the gameplay itself. It's pretty much being called a worse version of Overwatch. Even with the subpar gameplay, if Concord actually had some amazing character designs, I think it would have had a better chance. I could think of one game that just had absolutely dreadful gameplay, and even for its time, didn't look great. But it had very, and I mean very, appealing characters. Hyperdimension Neptunia. Though the series by Compile Heart is well liked now, at least in Japan, its very first game was terrible. It was pretty much an obvious beta/test game. The game had recycled assets from Compile Heart's previous game Trinity Universe and had a convoluted custom combo system that was confusing and not worth the effort to learn. Also, just look at it. Even for PS3 era, I thought this looked kinda bad. Fortunately, once the series got some proper footing, Compile Heart redid the first game and it was so much better. So I said a bad game can still have a chance if it has appealing character designs and a good roster. Well, here's a sample of a few characters from the very first Neptunia game. I really don't need to say much, but I'm going to. Just look at the cover of the original game. People definitely judged a book by its cover, and despite the game's flaws, the audience overlooked the obvious beta aspects because the designs won them over. I pretty much like to call these outfits Evangelion style swimsuits. You got nice looking characters, appealing outfits, and Zettai Ryoiki. With that combination, you've easily got all of the otaku hook, line, and sinker. Compile Heart, the creator of the Neptunia series, knew their audience and designed the characters with their taste in mind. Sorry, I went off on a tangent there. So the original point is that games with appealing character designs can sometimes mitigate damage caused by subpar gameplay. And as for Hyperdimension Neptunia, while I can't find solid numbers anymore, the first game sold so well that it quickly became Compile Heart's flagship series, much like Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest R to Square Enix. So if DAW looked a lot less DAW and looked a lot more duh, maybe, just maybe, Concord could have reached 700 concurrent users. But of course, when considering Concord is $40 when its rivals are free to play, that alone might just make my argument a moot point. Concord is living on borrowed time. I think it'll outlast the day before, but only due to PlayStation going with sunk cost fallacy. Sup everyone, Future Echo Taka here. While I was editing this video, some breaking news happened. Sony is pulling the plug on Concord. It is officially dead. It didn't even last 2 weeks since release. Concord didn't die as fast as the day before, which was killed 4 days after its launch. However, hardly any money went into developing and marketing the day before, whereas with Concord, that's going to be a $200 million L for Sony. I honestly thought Sony was going to keep Concord on life support out of sheer pride and stubbornness, but it looks like they're going to cut their already massive losses. less than a 700 player peak, dead less than 2 weeks after launch, and a $200 million financial bomb. I can't even begin to describe how embarrassing, humiliating, laughable, abysmal, biblical, disastrous, astronomical, cataclysmic, and catastrophic this debacle of a video game was. Never in my life have I seen a game fail as hard as Concord has. It probably makes E.T.'s failure look like a success. You know, I wonder if Sony's gonna reopen the E.T. landfill and bury Concord with it. There's absolutely no denying it. Concord is the biggest video game failure in the world. Honestly, I'm kinda sad this is over. I had so much fun watching all of the videos and takes absolutely dunking on Concord. I never wasted a single minute playing this game, but boy, did I get a lot of entertainment out of it. If you made it this far, let me know who you thought the worst looking character in Concord was. And you know what? Why don't you let me know your thoughts on the failure of Concord as well. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit like and subscribe. Patreon is linked down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.